really, really been having a blast enjoying watching what you're doing in MLW lately. It is absolutely awesome to see you out there doing your thing in MLW, getting involved there. How did that relationship and that working relationship really come about and get started for you?
So the whole relationship with MLW was actually kind of something just kind of fell on my lap in a good way. So I have my pro wrestling school here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, called Three Legacies Wrestling, and one of somebody that I'm close to, a now good friend of mine, who goes by the name of Delirious,
Hmm.
um, from Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Uh, he comes in and trains the guys from time to time. So we build a relationship that way. And then he's been a part of my events a few times. And I'll actually put the camera up there. He was where are you at? Where you at? Where you at? Oh, there he is.
Yes.
So he was part of that. So we built a relationship, and then um, he was a producer for MLW at one point, and he's like, "Hey, I have this spot if you're interested." And I went. This is back in June, July of last year, of
Huh?
2023, and I started producing. I started producing matches there, and then he ended up leaving, and then he's full time with Impact or TNA at the
Hmm.
moment.
Yeah.
So I feel, and I've never asked him, but I feel like he knew that was happening. So he brought me in to kind of replace him, which, hey, I appreciate it because he gave me his blessing, and he gave me the rub, and I've been with MLW since.
Nice. At what point did the transition come to being on camera? Because it sounds like that wasn't part of the original plan at all.
No, no, I was originally brought it. I mean, to be in front of the actual camera. I was originally brought in for Battle Riot of last year, so just to
Okay.
be a part of the
The
Rumble match.
match.
Yeah, to just be a part of that, and then I guess they found out that I live nearby. I'm only about an hour and a half from Philadelphia,
Right.
so yeah, Delirious put in the good word, and then just kind of went from there. And so I came in. I did I produced a couple matches. I worked one match, and then this whole thing with Salina just kind of happened, which is super awesome
Yeah.
for a lot of reasons. So being tied up or being linked up with Salina and then Janai Kai and then Rocky Romero, these are people that I have a history with.
Hmm.
Um, so back before I was in WWE, I used to help run a school in Chatsworth, California. Chatsworth, California, called oh shoot, I forgot. Anyways, so I used to help run a school down in Chatsworth, Pennsylvania, and that was owned by Ryan Katz, who is a big part of.
Yes.
So he's a big part of NXT, the creative
Hmm.
process. So that used to be owned by him, and I was the main trainer. And so I that's how I met Rocky. I'm
Okay.
like I had met Rocky in LA through shows, the lucha shows and stuff, and especially at the Inoki Dojo in LA.
Hmm.
But he would come in every now and then and train with us, and then I got to wrestle him once in over there. So this is before WWE.
Right.
So I already knew Rocky. Um, and then Salina and Janai. Salina, I knew her because myself and Lindsay Dorado used to train her
Oh, cool.
when she first started.
Huh.
There was a couple other trainers that were there, but the more name, I know it's a messed up way to say it, but the more known trainers would have been myself and Lindsay.
Sure.
And then Janai Kai, I was her very first trainer. Um, yeah, so I was her very first trainer, and then I was leaving Florida when she came in. So I think she was with me for like 2 3 months
Okay.
before I left. Yeah, so I was like, but I was her very first trainer
Wow.
down in Orlando. So I was kind of like a full circle type of thing. And then I had a chat with Selena actually not too long ago where I told her, it was like, man, I'm so proud of you to see where you started and to become that the woman you've become. Because to me, she's still like, I mean, and I say it like in a fatherly way. She's still a kid to me, because like
Right.
I saw where she was like, barely starting. But to see her as a grown adult woman and then see how she's developed and as a performer, that's so amazing. And Janai, the same thing.
Yeah,
Um, to see them how they have grown is so amazing, and as like a former coach of them, it's very rewarding to see how far they've come. Um, I don't take full credit for them because obviously there were other people that came after I left that did their
sure.
part too, and so they had a lot of folks that were helping and developed them. So it's either way. Point is, I'm very proud of them, and so to
Right.
be involved with Janai and Salina, and then Rocky, it's a full circle, amazing experience that I'm very grateful for.
How hands-on are you with when it comes to you guys working together on camera when like Janai is having her matches and Rocky's having his matches? How hands-on are you as far as putting those matches together, working with them? Or are you solely there, to do your thing on camera, ringside and whatnot?
Well, no, I mean, so I'm also a producer for MLW, so I help
Right.
produce some of the matches. Obviously, like when it comes to Rocky's knowledge is, you know,
Yeah.
so yeah, so Rocky for the most part puts his stuff together, and then every now and then he'll ask me, "Hey, what do you think about this?" Or he'll ask for a suggestion, and we'll throw it in. But I respect Rocky, like unbelievably respect Rocky. So and obviously, excuse me, that soda I was just drinking. Um, he has way more experience than I do, and he's had, I mean, the long list of people that he's worked with. Um, so yeah, I respect Rocky. So, but when it comes to like Janai, I think I've produced maybe like two or three of her matches. I just kind of give him an insight of where the match is supposed to go and what the
Sure.
purpose is and what we're trying to get across. And then they kind of put it together, and I'll just kind of go in and just do little tweaks here and there. Um, and then with Salina, it's been great because like I get to pass on the knowledge that I had as Ricardo
Hmm.
of the reacting, the camera, look for the camera, stand here, don't stand over there because you're gonna get blocked by the
Right.
people that are in the ring. So the blocking of the stage. So it's been pretty cool. But like I said, to me, it's so rewarding to be in that position with Salina and with Janai specifically. So I'm very happy for that. I'm grateful for that for MLW and Court Bauer,
Mhm.
and it's cool. It's pretty cool.
What is the atmosphere like there? Because especially when you guys are in Philly working at the 2300 arena, that building is with all of the history that's there. What is the atmosphere like when, for you, being in that building and especially the locker room itself with that collective group of talent? Like, God, there's so much, especially underrated talent at MLW
Oh
that I
man,
feel like people don't even know about that's there. Like,
yeah.
what is that atmosphere like to work in?
It's been amazing. I mean, I somebody was telling me the other day that the way that the atmosphere in the locker room is now is not how it was,
Hmm.
like 2 years ago or something. So, and they were telling me stories of how it was back then. So, that it was a lot different. It was a little bit more rugged and just like all over the place. But that now, like again, I'm only speaking from the stories I was told. So I wasn't there 2 years ago, so I don't, or
Or
however long it was. So I'm
yeah.
only going off of what I was told. But the environment now is amazing, man. It's super awesome knowing that the younger guys are willing to listen to critique. They
Oh,
do the
good.
matches, and then yeah, they'll do their matches and they'll come back and be like, hey, what'd you think? Or is there anything in there? Um,
Nice.
and then yeah, so it's awesome. And then there's a lot of awesome talent, man. There's a couple there that I look at them and I'm like, dude, you're so good.
Yeah.
You just need the right eye on you, and then you're gonna fucking, excuse me, I don't need to cuss.
You're
You're
good,
gonna just
man.
explode. You're gonna go out there and then just stick with this, because you're being given a platform that not many have. So take advantage of that and make the most of that moment. And then MLW, man, it's a global entity. So use this platform that you have to propel yourself. Whether you become something major within MLW or it propels you to something, out there, then hey, awesome. But take advantage of the situation that you have. You have so many people here that are wanting to make something happen for not just you, but for everybody. So, and Court Bauer is awesome at that because he wants everybody to, show off and then do your thing and then, like be big to create something. Uh, what I do think that a lot of these guys though, with having MLW experience, is that they're learning how to work television on the
Yeah.
go. So that's something that for instance, like myself, obviously with my time with WWE, um, I was just I'll put it this way. So when I was with WWE, I was just kind of thrown into it, and I didn't go through the FCW. I didn't go through the that kind of process. I was just going, poof, you're on the road now. I
Yeah.
did my tryout, and then I was thrown on the road, so I learned a lot of lessons the hard way. But if I'm able to go in and tell these guys, hey, just at this point in time, stop, don't move, hit what you're gonna do, and just stay there, because the camera has to pick you up. Just watch, just stay there, don't do anything.
Right.
And there's been a couple of times where like they'll listen, and then they have that shot, and then that shot is what you'll see later on in a replay or in
Hmm.
like the video package. It's like those are the moments. Just wait, don't move. Um, and but yeah, but like the MLW has been great. Honestly, it's been such an amazing experience, and the guys that are there are all very welcoming to critique. They ask for it, and I feel like everybody's there to try and get better, which is always great for the product.
Hmm.
Um, and something special. I really do think it's special. And then now that MLW is going to start traveling, we're going to experience a lot more um, talents nationwide. So I mean, between like Chicago, Atlanta, Tampa, I
New
know there's a
York.
couple others. Yeah, I mean, obviously New York.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so I'm excited for that, and then I'm excited to the best of my abilities expand the knowledge that the younger guys have, so that they can go and take it out, take it with them elsewhere and utilize it.
Right.
Because that's what a lot of this is, man. Is giving back to the
Yeah.
industry that gave us so much.
Definitely. And one thing I think is really, really interesting is like you mentioned, like you went straight from your tryout to being on the road. There wasn't necessarily that developmental that you spent a year, 2, 3, 4 years in. Like you went straight from the tryout to on the road. But you had also been wrestling in the business for a period of time before that. How much did that experience help you kind of get used to being straight to being on the road compared to if you had come in, gone to a tryout, and just gone straight to being on the road with no experience?
So, so I did a tryout for wrestling. That was my tryout. I did a wrestling tryout,
Right.
and um, so in one way, my tryout had nothing to do with the role that I was given. My preparation leading into WWE had nothing to do with what the role that I was given. I was training to be a professional wrestler, and then my quote unquote gimmick at the time, I used to like watch religiously, Samoa Joe, and then like Loki and Super Dragon and Muda. So it was more on the aggressive. Don't talk. I never talked. Um, so I was very aggressive when I wrestled, and then I got hired to talk. So that was the irony of the whole thing. And I think like the biggest battle that I had was with my ego, because I wanted to wrestle. I came in and I'm a wrestler. I've been training for 4 years. I've been wrestling independently throughout the U.S., Mexico, and Europe to be a wrestler, and then I got hired to not wrestle. Uh, so I had to swallow my pride quite a bit, and then just kind of, as a wise man once said, "Shut up and know your role." Um, So, um, so once I got over myself and I accepted my position, I just had a blast with it. The whole Ricardo thing.
Yeah.
I don't think Ricardo would have been Ricardo had I not surrendered to my ego, or given up my ego.
Hmm.
Um, because and then through the years, I still saw people and I was like, man, I want to wrestle. I want to get in there. Um, And WWE did give me a lot of opportunities to do that, though.
Hmm.
I would wear the mask. I would wear the mask, and then I was
Yeah.
where locale. I got to wrestle the European tours. I was sent down to FCW a lot to wrestle the guys that were coming up. I was a lot of people's first matches and dark matches in NXT,
Hmm.
because they knew that they trusted me that I can move them, and I can guide them, and then I can teach them the WWE style versus the independent style. which is a lot slower, and it's again look for the cameras, because we're not really working for these people. The couple that are here, we're working for the camera, and
Right.
there's
Everyone at
millions out
home.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's millions at home.
Right.
Yeah, sure, of course, still acknowledge the people that are here. Of course, we still have to acknowledge
Hmm.
it, but there's way
Right.
more out there. Um, and then that's another thing that we can just break down to like so many different levels. But that's just like
Right.
the overall nutshell of what that whole
Mhm.
is. But did my time and independence help me? Of course, because I got to learn the business and I got to learn a whole lot of what it takes, and then the selling. So yeah, so it did help a lot, but it wasn't necessarily directly attributed to the role that I was given
Right.
in WWE.
Right. Uh, I really feel like the Ricardo character was honestly one of the biggest reasons that the Alberto character got over as a heel as big as that character did because he had you. And I just remember when you would come out and do your thing, just like the reactions that you would get were absolutely amazing. How long did it take for you to really catch your stride and feel comfortable in that role? Because, like you said, you didn't take to it right away. It took some time for you to really get comfortable with it. How long really was that? And when was it to the point that's like, I'm feeling this now?
I think it must have been it was a couple months. It
Okay.
wasn't instantaneous. It wasn't automatic.
Right.
Um, I know I've told this story 1,000 times, but when I first was brought in to do this role, I figured in my head mentally was ring announcer, so be very proper. So I figured, Justin Roberts, your Chimmel, your Finkel.
Hmm.
So I would just come in, and the very first time that I did in rehearsals, I did, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ring, Alberto Del Rio. And then Vince just kind of goes like, no, not like that. Be more animated, be more Hispanic. Um, so I just pictured the commentators from AAA. Most hype men that are in Spanish, they're all wild and loud and this, da da da, right? But again, that's even though I had that in my head, that's not how it would come out because I wasn't used to that.
Hmm.
Because again, my persona, my character was very quiet, and I've never cut promos. Now um, I'm being placed in front of thousands of people in an arena to the millions at home, to do this persona, and it took a while. It took a little while, and then I would have to turn because I could never remember Alberto's name, so I would have to constantly turn to the screen or to the entrance because his name was there.
Right.
So there. There was this episode of Friends, and I talk trash on Friends a lot, because I think
Not
it's
a Friends
corny.
fan?
No, not at all.
Oh,
Well, there's a reason for that though. So if you
oh,
ever watch Comedy Central, it goes from South Park and it switches to Seinfeld, and then I tie Seinfeld with Friends. So I'm like, how do you go from South Park to Seinfeld? Anyway, so that's a whole other
oh,
story. That's a whole other story.
oh, yeah.
I know. So but anyways, there's this episode of Friends where Joey Tribbiani is talking about his like he does a pause when he forgets a line, and he looks away,
Yes.
and he looks away
Yes.
so he can. All right, so I remember that episode, and then the very first day that we did it was on it was SmackDown, August of 2010. It was the very first SmackDown. I forgot his name, and I had rehearsed it, but that stupid image in my head just played of Tribbiani when he looked away, and then when I looked away, I saw his name on the screen. Um, so then I just went from there. But and it took a bit for me to remember his name because I was so nervous.
Right.
Because that's the important part of the whole thing was his name. Um, so then that kind of happened, and I just made it a habit of like I would say the whole spiel, and I would pause because I would do oof, so I can look at the entrance and I can see his name. Um, but so that was like the baby steps leading into all of that, and then uh, there was this very famous, or there is, he's still alive. There's this very famous Argentinian soccer commentator by the name of Andres Cantor. Andres Cantor is that guy that made very famous the goal.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's Andres Cantor from Argentina.
Okay.
And so I figured, hey, there's a lot of O's in Alberto Del Rio. So that's where I got that from.
Okay.
And yeah, so the Alberto again, goal. So
Sure.
Andres Cantor, and I've tweeted Andres Cantor a bajillion times throughout my existence as Ricardo, and he never once answered.
What?
Uh, yeah, and I
Oh,
pitched that idea. I went to WWE and I told him about that. That's where I got that from, and I was trying to do something because where I wanted to, I don't know, because they're always up for like, bring celebrities,
cameos.
and that was
Yeah.
one of them. There was a couple that I had pitched in. That was one of them. He's one of them. And there's this very famous soccer player from Europe, from Switzerland, named Ricardo Rodriguez.
Oh, that would
Um,
have been perfect.
yeah, so anytime we went to Europe, I would always constantly tell them, "Hey, let's find them." I would, because at the time they would constantly tweet us, both of us,
Hmm.
and they will link us up. So I was like, "Let's find this dude. Let's see if we can do something." And then whatever, something,
Yeah.
and it never happened. Um,
Jeez.
and then I had told him when I was there, I would consistently tell him all these things. I was like, dude, like I'm a huge Manchester United fan. I want to go to Old Trafford. I want to do this, and this, and it's never happened. And then I had this like friendly jealousy over the guys that would get selected to go to the stadiums, and then they would give them the jersey.
Yeah,
Like man, like dude, that should be. I want to go. I
that
want to
would have
get
been
that.
perfect.
Yeah, but anyways, that's neither here nor there. But so anyway, so where I was going with it was like it took a while to get to that stride. It definitely took a while. It's not something that I got off the bat, and I had to consistently try new something to kind of make it work. And then little by little, the more I started doing it, the more the audience got acclimated with it. So then they started doing it too. So then I didn't start elongating it until the audience started doing it. So I started listening to them, and so then when the audience started doing it, WWE.com, whoever was in charge of the Twitter account used to do a timer. So then they started posting it on Twitter X.
Right.
Tonight, Alberto Del Rio was 10.8 seconds or whatever, and I didn't know that until they started tagging me in it.
Wow, I
So
didn't even know that.
then, so then for the pay per views, I was like, all right, cool. So somebody's timing me. Let's do this big. So for WrestleMania, I held it for like 40 seconds, um, or whatever it was.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but yeah,
That's awesome. One of my favorite things that you did, and I don't think I've seen you talk about it a lot, is when you got paired with Rob Van Dam with RVD for a little bit. What was that one? What was that time like for you? Did you enjoy that as much as I had fun watching that? Because that was a really fun twist.
it was weird at first, and I've known Rob for a while. Um, so I used to train at Knox Pro Wrestling down in Burbank, California. That was Rikishi's school.
Right,
So myself, Rusev, Miro, we were together at the time, so we trained together. Well, he was the morning class, I was the night class.
right.
I was with Gangrel, and then or more so sometimes Orlando and Jordan. And then Rusev Miro was during the day. Um, so what was the question? Sorry, I was thinking something with
Yeah.
it.
Well, the kind of how you mentioned that it was really weird and awkward at first
Oh, right,
teaming with RVD instead of
got
Alberto.
it. So this is where I was going with it. So I met Rob because Rob did his music video called "The Whole Effing Show" from his band Cushionator, something like that.
Right.
But that was a theme that he had in TNA. So they
Hmm.
did his music video at the school. So
Oh,
if you go on YouTube and you type in the Cushionator Rob Van Dam theme music video, the whole effing show. They filmed at Knox Pro, so myself and Rusev are in it. I'm wearing the
hmm.
mask. Rusev was being Rusev,
Oh, shoot.
Miro.
Okay.
Um, so that's where I had met Rob. So then when we got connected in WWE, I reminded him of that. And he's like, "Oh yeah, hey, cool, whatever, right?" But and then I love Rob. I totally love Rob. He's awesome. But Rob is Rob. He's chill. He's just kind of
Yeah.
goes with the flow of things, and he's like, "All right, cool, whatever." He kind of goes, he shows up to the arena, says hello to everybody, go and then go stretches, which is totally fine. Obviously that was very different than the chemistry that I had with Alberto, because Alberto and I were always together, so we got to feed off of each other's energies, and then I got to understand him,
Right.
and I think that that dynamic played off so well on TV because we were always together. Um, so obviously when it came to Rob, it was just kind of placed there, and then um, at that point, I remember we were sitting. I want to say we're in California. We were like in Anaheim, and we're sitting. It was myself, Alberto, the Matadors, the Torito, and I think
Hmm.
Sin Cara. We're the Latinos. We're all sitting together
Right.
because we're like the LW almost. And
Yes.
so then Malenko comes up to us, specifically me, and he's like, "Hey, to tell you what's happening," because I had been off TV for a bit on this one.
Hmm.
They had split up Alberta and I. They split us up.
Right.
So I was off TV, but I was still there. And then they're like, "Hey, to tell you what's happening." I was like, "Nah." He's like, "You're with RVD today," and he walks away. I was like, "Wait, what?" Because and then anybody that knows Malenko, he has this dry humor that you can't tell if he's serious or messing with you. And
Right.
then normally they'll tell you he'll come back like a couple seconds later. No, I'm just kidding. And then he'll da 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 da.
Right.
But
Not that
he
time.
takes it back. So I was like, wait, what just happened? So then eventually he comes back and he's like, yeah, you're gonna be with you're gonna introduce Alberto, and then I'm sorry, RBD, and then we'll just go from there. I was like, okay, random, but okay, cool. And then we did that for like 2 weeks or so, and then eventually
Mhm.
I went up to Malenko and I was like, hey man, I don't, I'm just curious. I appreciate that I'm back on TV, and I appreciate it, but like, why is this happening? It seems weird, and just so that I know how I can play this off. Like, what's the purpose of this? So I know how to
Mhm.
play it. And
Right.
essentially, he's like, well, basically, what we needed a reason for Rob to challenge Alberto for the title, and you're the connection. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So that lasted what, a month or two, maybe. That was short lived. That was very short lived, and then that was it. But no, I mean, Rob is Rob, man. Like, he does his own
Right.
thing. And,
Right.
we had him at one of our shows
Yeah.
not so long ago. So
Yeah, and we've got to talk about Three Legacies, man, because it's really cool. Well, my stepmom is from Lancaster, which is
oh,
crazy.
okay.
Yeah, and so yeah, that's crazy that your school's in Lancaster. What made you decide to start a school? Because I don't feel like there's a lot of, are there a lot of wrestling schools in Pennsylvania?
Oh no, yeah, there's plenty. I mean,
Okay,
anywhere in the country there's gonna be like a wrestling
that's fair.
school
That's
now,
fair. Yeah,
right? But like,
yeah.
I think we're very different than a lot of the places that are around the area for and it's not to like downplay other places either. So that's not the intent.
Right. No. No.
But I do think that we have something different, and it's something special. We're very heavily involved with the community, heavy, 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 heavy. Obviously, my experience and then where I've been and what I've done, I think comes into play for a lot of this. Um, I've been, dude. I've ran schools, and I mean this literally throughout the world. I opened
Mhm.
up a school in India. I was helping. I've taught in Australia. I was in Egypt. I was in England. I was in Mexico. Throughout the United States. And like I said, I spent a whole year, almost a year in Cairo, Egypt, running a school. So I've done this internationally,
Mhm.
and within this area here, there's nothing else like us. Based on that alone, um, we have monthly events. We have monthly events, and then we're selling out now at like 700 to 800 people at the events, and we've only been around for a year and a half.
Right.
So, but I mean, but it's something that I've done for so long that once I came in here, and then I was like, all right, this is the game plan. This is the process. How do we get there? This is how we're going to get there. And then it's going to be a process. It's going to be a workload, but we're going to make it happen. Um, so, but yeah, it's been an awesome experience. I mean, the Three Legacies Wrestling has been a stressful blessing. It's been a blessing, but it's been work.
Right. Um, what do you look for from? incoming students, what are some of the things you preach the most to your students that maybe you wish would have been taught to you when you were first starting out, or that you wish you would have known when you first started really going hardcore?
There's a couple things. I think as a whole is an understanding of the business, and then don't look at it as a dream, because this is ultimately still the business. And then I think one of the downfalls that I had in WWE was that I saw everything as the dream.
Hmm.
Um, this is the dream that we've all wanted to be a part of. We all wanted to be a part of WrestleMania. We all wanted to be, have an action. We all wanted to have action figures, right? We all
Right.
wanted to be
Oh.
a part of the video game. We all wanted
Hmm.
this, and then I have it, and this is where I'm living the dream. But I never saw it as it's still a business, though. So I wish somebody would smarten me up on that. And this is something that I can tell the guys here. I can pass on all my mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes. Uh, and then I can kind of see also when somebody's kind of going down not just my students here, but just in general.
Hmm.
I can see when somebody's going down a certain path that I went through, and I was like, hey man, just reaching out, make sure you're all right. Let me know if you need anything. I won't judge you, nothing, because I know what I went through.
Yeah.
Um, if you need to talk, here's my number. Let's chat. So stuff like
Nice.
that too, and then um, this is all a process. And I can't stress this enough. It's a process, but we still have to have a drive and a consistency. You have to be truthful of what it is that you want out of this. I think what happens with a lot of folks is they set their goals so high, but they don't know how to get there. So they have to. You have to learn how to build stepping stones and checkpoints along the way. Because if you aim high and then you miss, then you're screwed because you don't know how to get to the next point. But if you set little stones or little stepping blocks along the way, if you happen to fail in that one big step, you just come back down to the last step that you were able to step on and then build from there. Um, but all this is a process, and I can't stress this enough because we're so in the world of instant gratification, we want everything now, but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Um, and also by working for it, you get to learn more appreciation for it. And that's something that I got to learn when I was overseas, seeing
Hmm.
people that don't have the resources that we have here, and then they would make the most of their situation, and they would be so grateful and take pride in what they're doing. Um, and I feel that that's something that's overall missing here rather than the U.S.
Hmm.
Um, take a lot of things for granted.
Yeah. Yeah, the instant gratification thing that you talked about, when it comes to putting on an actual show at Three Legacies, how important is it to remind the students and the wrestlers that it is a slow build? It doesn't happen right away. You're working towards something down the road, because especially on the trainee level, they want it. They're ready to go now. They think they're ready to go now. How difficult is it teaching that when it comes to putting on a show?
So the show doesn't just happen overnight, right? It's a whole process, and it's as soon as I have a show this coming Friday. I
Mhm.
don't know when
Tough
this is gonna
love.
air. Yeah, so I have one this coming Friday. Right now is a Wednesday. As soon as I log off with you, I still have to print some stuff and I have to cut them. Um, and I'm already working on the graphics for March.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm locking in venues for the summer, extra venues that we've already locked in. So it's a constant, just consistency, just moving, working, working. And then I can't stay being complacent because the moment I stay complacent, then I go downhill. I have to constantly be pushing myself. So it's a workload. But I have to tell these guys sometimes like just wait because I have to make sure that you're 100% ready to go because I don't want you to go out and then make a fool of yourself and then embarrass yourself because ultimately it's going to suck for you and it's also going to reflect on us. So there's a lot of working elements that are going into this, but so far, man, we have a couple kids already that I mean, I say kids are almost my age. Uh, we're all about the same age, but
And kids for wrestlers.
I have several students who are already working and they're already wrestling. They're not just with me, but other places throughout the state, and um,
Nice.
so. But I just have to tell them like just stick with it, just consistency. There's gonna and I there's some a chat I just had with two of them today. um, there's gonna be times where you're gonna feel like you hit a wall, and then you feel like you plateaued, and like you don't know how to get over that hump. It's like just keep showing up, man, because half the battle is just showing up. And then once you're
Yeah.
here, it's like, all right, well, let's put in the work, and then let's get over this hump, whatever that is. Because once you get over that hump, it's gonna be a smooth sailing as we go along. But just keep showing up. Just keep it's consistency, consistency. You're not gonna get results overnight. It's gonna take a bit, but just keep showing up. And and something's bound to click. Something's gonna click. And then the moment that clicks is so beautiful when you see that light bulb just
Yeah.
turn on.
Back to MLW. I was on the edge of my seat watching Rocky's 2 out of 3 falls matches, super fight. How
Oh
much fun
goodness.
was it to watch that ringside and see that in
Oh,
person? Because that match was so good.
the one with Ichiban or the one with Máscara Dorada?
I want to say it was Dorado, I believe
Yeah.
the
Oh,
one at
yeah.
the
That's
beginning
so
of this
good.
month. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, the one at the beginning of this month was with the one in New York or Philly?
Philly.
That was Ichiban.
Okay, I thought it was Dorado. My bad.
Yeah. Yeah. The one with Dorado was in New York.
Okay.
But no, yeah, both of them were great. Yeah, both of those matches were awesome. And Ichiban, he's a good kid, man. He really is. He has a good heart, and then he has good intentions, and I wish him all the success in the world because he has the ability, um, and he listens, which is super important. There's no ego there, and again, it's super important. And I hope that he took that match that he had with Rocky as a big learning lesson for him in a good, positive way, of course, because he has a whole world ahead of him. So I wish him all the best. I really do.
Definitely, man. What does the rest of 2024 look like for you? Obviously, Three Legacies is doing extremely well. I've checked out the website. You guys are busy with so much stuff coming up, man. Which is amazing to watch, by the way. It's amazing to see that happening for you. But what's this year look like?
Yeah. So, um, I'm about to start the new class that's coming in. I have about six guys or six individuals that have already signed up, and then that's in beginning of March. Obviously, the schedule with Three Legacies Wrestling is gonna pick up because we have some stuff that we're working on that we've already filed the LLC for it.
Nice.
We're just waiting for everything to be finalized, but we have something big that's gonna be going on in the summer, and then I'm also in the meantime I help virtually train these guys from South Korea from Pro Wrestling Society. So that's once a month I
Nice.
get with them, and then that's
Wow.
something that I'm working on to go over there during the summer for at least 2
Okay.
weeks if the schedule allows. And then so between that Three Legacies, South Korea and then MLW, I'm very thankful for the life that I'm able to get back that I had been missing for a while to get me back into
Mhm.
the routine of something that I love.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm very thankful for again everybody that has been stuck with me, and then the Court Bauer and the MLW, obviously Shiho from South Korea, and then all the guys here from Three Legacies Wrestling, and this beautiful community, man, has been so supportive throughout this whole process. And um, I had I felt like they weren't going to take us in because of what the stigma that pro wrestling has, um, especially some of the other local spots that are around the area here. They're more of hardcore, and then that's fine. That's totally
Mhm.
fine. Whereas we focus more on family friendly events. But again,
Right.
that's totally fine to each their own. I think Triple H said it best. So it's like Baskin Robbins has 31 flavors, but it's all ice cream. Um, so, but no, but it's been amazing. The last year and a half have just flown by, unbelievable. And then we're about to hit 2 years in September. So yeah, I'm excited for what the future holds.
That's awesome, man. It is so really, it is just awesome to see all of this happening for you, man, because you're a good dude. You deserve all of it, man. It is so cool to see that happening for you. Where can people connect with you, Three Legacies, follow you, get in touch with you, and all that good stuff?
So the important one would honestly be follow us on YouTube. You can literally watch our shows on YouTube, and then there's a couple already up there. Our January event called Icebreaker is up on
Ooh.
YouTube at Three Legacies. You have to spell that out. Three
Mhm.
Legacies Wrestling. Same thing with Facebook. Three Legacies Wrestling. On Instagram, you can follow us there at 3L Wrestling, and then on X at Three Legacies. Or just follow us on or check out our website, 3legacieswrestling.com. But we're very thankful for everything that we have going on, man. It's been such a blessing, honestly.
Absolutely, man. And I want to thank you for taking time to do this tonight, especially right after the training
Yeah,
class ended, man. I really appreciate you doing this.
of course.
It's been really cool, and you've been absolutely awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.